what I did is I went ahead and installed a Linux server. And when I installed this Linux server, let's see here. What I did was install the Linux server, and I ran a couple of commands on it. So after, and this is just Ubuntu 18.04. As soon as I did that, I did an apt get update. Ran that as sudo. So I have to do a sudo apt update. What this does is it basically gets an update of the available package. I can go ahead and run it again, put in my password, and it goes, connects, downloads the latest information on the applications that are available on Ubuntu, updates the list. There you go. And then I did an apt and sudo apt get install Apache 2. This gets me my web server. Now I've done this, so I can do it again. It's just gonna tell me it's already installed. And once that's installed, everything actually is running for the web server. The directory where our web server is housed, all the files for the web server is /var www.html, and you can see here we have our index.html. If I was to bring up a web server, it would show what's in that index.html, which basically says that Apache is installed. Now you'll notice there's some other pieces here. I have copied these over using SCP, and I had to copy them to my home directory and then move them over to here with the sudo command, because this is a protected directory that only root can write to. So I have moved over my install images. Oni install. I have a few different versions here. This one is a beta version of the code. It's our 6. We also have a 3.5, and then we have also a 2.11.25. So different versions. If you go from version 2 to 3, you can actually do an upgrade. But if you try to go from 3, anything in the 3 release down to 2, you're going to have to do an Oni install. But the purpose of this is to show you the Oni install. So let's go ahead and log in via console to one of our systems. So this is a switch that I have. Let's do a show version, and I am running 2.11. I want to go ahead and upgrade to this version, 3.5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reboot the switch. Again, this is a console session, so to reboot, I do a request system reboot. That's the standard way of doing a reboot of a FS-powered network switch. All right, so it's going to go down for reboot, and I'm going to show you this process. So every system's a little different. The one from the Edge Core, it has a little prompt that's going to come up here in a minute. It's going to say hit a key to break out of the normal boot sequence. In the Dell models, you'll actually get a menu. It'll say, do you want to boot regularly, or do you want to go into Oni recovery mode? We want to go into Oni, and the recovery mode is just another way of saying I'm going into the Oni operating system, so that I can then execute some Oni commands to contact my Oni server, to load the operating system off of a USB stick. In this case, I've set up this Oni server. There we go. Hit any key to stop the auto reboot. I am now in our. We're not in Oni yet. I'm going to need to run Oni boot command. So I've gone into the Edge Core BIOS, and then I need to execute Oni. So now this is opening up the Oni network install environment, and we're going to receive a DHCP address, an address from DHCP. You can see it happening right now. And then you might have missed this, but it says please press enter to activate this console. The Ethernet link is up. I've got an IP address, 10.120.154. It's trying to automatically find my server. I don't have that set up. I don't have a set up in my DNS server and my DH server for it to automatically find my Oni server. This is just my home lab. So I hit enter. I'm in here. I'm going to go ahead and disable auto discovery, right? Discovery stop. So Oni discovery stop installer mode is detected, and now go ahead without getting messages trying to auto find it. I'm going to Oni NOS install, and then I specify http://10.120.30. This is the address of my Linux server. Now I'm going to specify that I want to install this file. So because this is in the root directory of my web server, all I have to do is put that in there and hit enter. It's going out. You see it's putting the file, 182 meg, and it's going to go about installing it. So it's verifying it. It's going to ask me, it's going to give me one more option to abort the install, and then it will go ahead and install the operating system. So by far the easiest way to install is using the network and setting up an Oni server in your environment. There are some people in lab environments or where the HCP is not working quite right. There are ways to go ahead and manually set an IP address, but sometimes you just want to use a USB stick. So you would load the same install images on a FAT32 formatted USB, plug it into your switch, and then you can mount that device using the mount command, and then execute it in exactly the same way. And instead of using HTTP to grab the install, I'm just going to do Oni NOS install, and I'm going to specify the directory of where this image is kept on the USB. Alright, so it's doing our install. It actually doesn't take too terribly long to install, so we'll just keep watching this. So again, there are a few different ways. The main difference between version 2 and version 3 of the PicOS NOS is that version 2 is on, I believe, CentOS, and CentOS 8 is what PicOS version 3 is built on. I'm going to go ahead and pause, and we'll resume here once the image gets installed. Alright, so there it goes. It's now doing the install, and it gives me another, well, it's an opportunity to stop the auto boot. You remember that from the beginning where we broke out of that and went into the Oni environment. So this is doing a normal boot up. Alright, so there we are at the login prompt to log into the device. The default username is admin, and the default password is Pika8. And then it requires me to change it. Pika8.